Hi besties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelly. If you haven't seen me before, I create lifestyle and wellness content focused on helping you live your best life. So I'm super excited that you are here. Today I am answering some of your questions from over on Instagram, just about me or general advice. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so our first question is, how would you define becoming that girl? So I feel like I have a little bit of a different approach to this. I don't view it necessarily as like a concrete way to do things. I think it's more about discovering what you want and then curating a lifestyle around that. So maybe you want to live a lifestyle where you can travel a lot. Okay, what does that mean and how can you get there is more of how I would approach the kind of that girl lifestyle. Although I would say traditionally it's more focused on like green juice, Pilates, and like a particular aesthetic. I don't think that that's necessarily what it needs to be. My approach has always been focused more on building healthy habits and a lifestyle that you enjoy. Next question is, do you think to be that girl you have to buy expensive things? Absolutely not. I don't think that there's any reason in which you need to spend lots of money. And even if you do enjoy the aesthetic of being that girl, I have tons of videos on TikTok and Instagram showing how you can get that for a lot less. You don't necessarily need to buy Alo Yoga or like particular brands in order to attain that kind of style. There's tons of great workout sets on Amazon. The top that I'm wearing right now is from Amazon. My accessories over here are either Amazon or Target. There's definitely ways to do it that don't have to be expensive, and I share also some more like what I spend in a day videos focused on how you can attain that lifestyle for less. But in general, I don't think that it's really about items or having particular things. I think becoming that girl is more focused on creating a lifestyle that you enjoy and building healthy habits and routines that help you do that. And you don't necessarily have to spend any money in order to do that. Okay, our next question is how to start working out. And to be honest, I would start really, really small. Think small and then go one step below that. So maybe you have never worked out before. Maybe you're working your way back into working out a lot. Whatever the case is, I would start really small. So maybe you're starting by putting out your workout clothes the night before and putting them on and taking yourself to the gym. You're not necessarily saying that you need to do a big workout. You're just saying, I want to build the habit of physically getting myself to the gym in the morning. Whatever it looks like when it gets there is irrelevant. Or maybe you're laying out your mat and you're turning on the YouTube video, and whether you do it or not is irrelevant, but you're starting that habit of getting yourself ready to work out and getting yourself there so that a workout can happen. And as you build that habit, you're going to inevitably start actually doing a full workout. But helping you create that habit is going to build the muscle that gets you to the gym and gets you to those workouts, even on days when you don't feel super motivated. How to start being that girl. I feel like you can just wake up and decide that that's who you are. Like truly, it's just about building and creating healthy habits. So figure out what those look like for you. I do have a workbook that I will link in the description box that I created that kind of helps you work through, okay, what do I want my days to look like and how can I build habits around my goals to help me get there? And I would say that that is a really big part of it, is creating healthy habits, setting goals, and using habits to help you achieve those goals. So really take a step back from the idea of like it being a particular aesthetic or having particular goals like hitting 10,000 steps a day or reading particular books. Let go of all of that and figure out what it looks like for you, because it doesn't need to look like anyone else's idea of that girl. In reality, that girl is just somebody who has their life together and is working towards their goals, which is attainable in a variety of different ways. It doesn't have to look like what you see in a TikTok video. Best healthy and delicious lunch ideas. Personally, I love a good salad for lunch. It's one of my favorite things to make for lunch, and I personally love Half-Baked Harvest. They have seriously the best salad recipes. They're so delicious. They're not normally super hard to make, but they can be a little bit pricier to make. Alternatively, you could check out a website like Budget Bites. They have lots of good recipes as well, but they're also focused on creating more budget-friendly recipes that don't have a ton of different ingredients. Personally, I feel like salads really need a lot of ingredients. Like, it just makes it feel extra delicious, and so I do think that that's kind of part of it. So part of that may be that maybe you choose to shop at more of a budget-friendly grocery store like Aldi's to get the ingredients that you might find on Half-Baked Harvest. And then other than that, I would definitely recommend Pinterest. A lot of times I just scroll through Pinterest when I'm making my grocery lists, and then I see maybe just a photo of a salad, and then I can kind of piece together what ingredients go in that, and if I don't like something, I can swap it out. I do have a highlight on Instagram where I share a lot of my meals and the recipes that I'm using, so you can also check that out if you're looking for more specific direction on recipes. And I am going to start posting more recipes to my Reels and TikTok, so you can look forward to seeing those as well. Favorite places to get ethical, regular clothes and activewear. So I will definitely recommend Tala if you're looking for sustainable activewear. I have several Tala sets. I absolutely love them, but the compression is pretty high. So if you don't like a tight waistband, I would definitely not recommend them as much. And then as far as clothing goes, I don't personally own items from Veta Capsule, but I absolutely love their pieces, and they do make sustainable and ethical clothing. So I would definitely recommend that. And alternatively, you could check out something like The RealReal, which sells secondhand clothing. I have purchased several items from them. They sell secondhand designer clothing, or you can always check out your local thrift stores. That's a great way to do it, or something like Poshmark. What is my favorite thing about being an influencer? I would honestly have to say it's getting to connect with you all. I love being able to help you all work on your routines, hear that the content that I'm creating has been helpful to you. So I would definitely say being able to connect with our community and chat with you all and watch you grow in your own personal journeys is really rewarding for me personally when it comes to being a creator. What motivated you to start the account? So I honestly didn't envision myself in this niche for years. I had actually had a fashion account. Really was not the right niche for me, but this is really was a way for me to kind of express my creativity and share the things that I was doing every day and share the tips that I had learned. I'd been reading like all of your self-help books for what feels like years, and kind of soaking up all of that and applying it to my own life and seeing how it helped. So it was more a way to kind of creatively share what I have learned with other people so that you can kind of fast track that process yourself. What is your job? So I work for a company called Willa, and I help create events for our community as well as a lot of our blog content. So I kind of work in the influencer marketing space more broadly because I do work directly with creators, because Willa is actually a company that helps creators get paid on time. So if you are a creator and you are struggling with those net 30, 60, 90 payments, we take that pain away and help you get paid right away, and we wait for those later dates on the payments and chase down things like late payments or failed payments. My dream career. Honestly, I kind of feel like I'm living in my dream career. I love what I do in my regular day job, and I love also working as a creator and creating content and sharing that with all of you. So I would say kind of what I'm doing right now. I would love to expand on that in the future and maybe expand more into brand partnerships, but we'll see where it all goes. Are you still in college? If so, what's your course? I am actually done with college. I have a master's in public policy and a bachelor's in political science and economics. I did originally start a PhD program, and I ended up dropping into the master's program because it just really wasn't a fit for what I wanted long term. As you can tell, I'm in a completely different field now, which I do enjoy, but I will always have a little bit of love for the public policy field and a lot of appreciation for the people who work in that field, because it is very demanding and it can be very draining in my opinion. How many days do you dedicate to strength training, and what form of cardio do you do? I typically do Pilates 2 to 3 times a week, and I use reformer Pilates, so I go to like an actual class and use a reformer. I generally like going to Solid Core or Legree Pilates, which is a little bit different than your traditional Pilates. And then as far as cardio goes, I generally just do walking, although sometimes I will go to a studio called Sculpt House and I might do a little bit of jogging, but I have to admit that running is just not my favorite and I prefer to stick to longer walks for my form of cardio. What is the best way to move on from a breakup? I would personally just recommend focusing on yourself as much as you can. I know that it's a lot easier said than done. And then I would also recommend letting yourself process those feelings, because I feel like a lot of times we kind of push that down and then it's just sitting there inside and we haven't really given it the opportunity to experience that and then be able to let it go. So my advice would be, let yourself feel whatever you're feeling. It's perfectly valid. It's okay if you're sad for a really long time, and just let yourself know that eventually it's going to end. You know, you're not going to be sad forever. Eventually it's going to get better. And if you can focus on yourself in the interim, you're going to feel a lot better in the long term. How do you deal with anxiety and stay motivated? I'll be honest, I don't stay motivated, but I do have a really bad anxiety. And so for me personally, there are some things in my routine that are just a non-negotiable in order to help me deal with my anxiety. For example, if I'm really anxious in the morning, it's a non-negotiable that I need to go on a walk so I can kind of get some of that energy out. Because for me, I'm normally very tense and I have a lot of energy that's just sitting there pent up when I'm feeling really anxious. So kind of acknowledging how I'm feeling, where my energy levels are at. Sometimes I'm so anxious that I don't want to do anything or go anywhere, and then I might do something that's a little more soothing, like a yoga at home type of thing with just a YouTube video and my mat and being able to stay at home. I also would recommend, if you are really struggling with anxiety, to avoid things like caffeine and lots of sugar, because those can impact your anxiety as well. So definitely paying attention to some of those dietary things, and then leveraging things like medicine and therapy if that is what you need. That is more than okay to accept that help. Okay, the next question is, how can you stick to a routine for over a week? It's definitely really hard to get into building a new routine, and the first thing that I would say is make sure that you're not trying to get yourself to do way too much right off the bat. Like, it's really easy to sit there at 6 p.m. the night before and be like, my morning routine is going to be 2 hours now and I'm going to conquer all of these things, but that's just not very realistic. You want to slowly build on your morning routine and you want to slowly make those changes. So don't start by saying that you're going to wake up at 5 a.m. if you normally wake up at 9 a.m. Start by pushing that time back by just 15 minutes a week at a time. That way you can slowly ease into it and you don't have that kind of overwhelming feeling, and you can also avoid that perfectionist tendency to be like all or nothing about what you're doing. All right, the next question is, what inspired you to start your That Girl journey? To be honest with you all, I really feel like I was a little bit forced. I was in therapy and my therapist told me that because I had really bad anxiety, I would really benefit from a routine, especially because I was in college at that time and everything was kind of in flux. You know, you don't have a super consistent schedule a lot of times in college, and I was traveling on the weekends to do competitive speech and debate, and so I was basically told that a routine could be something that would really help me, even if it was short. So I kind of started there in a routine. And exercise and working out has always been something that has helped my anxiety a lot. So that's kind of where that came in. But all of it was really more of a way to help those problems without necessarily having to use medicine, which was something that hadn't previously worked out very well for me. There's no issues with taking medicine if that's what you need and it was helpful to you, but for me it ended up not being that helpful, and I didn't really want to go through the kind of up and down of finding one that worked for me. Okay, the next question is steps to self-love. Personally, I love that question, and I feel like it's kind of an ongoing process. One of the things that I started doing was listening to really positive music and podcasts that just make me feel more empowered. I realized that I was listening to things that were just really sad, and that was kind of bringing down my own mood and making me feel not as confident and not as happy. So that's one thing. I'll say that I think having a routine and setting boundaries for yourself is a form of self-love and a form of self-care, and it helps you create the life that you're really looking to do. None of us want to do dishes or laundry, and we don't necessarily want to wake up at 7 a.m., but you may know that that's what's best for you. And so despite knowing that you don't really want to at that moment, you're going to make the choices that are better for you in the long run, that help set you up for success. So I do think that that's another way that you can kind of improve on self-love. And then I would say affirmations are a great way to do that as well. I love writing my daily affirmation in my 5-minute journal, so that is another way that you can consider it. But there is no one-size-fits-all way to practice self-love and self-care, so take what I say with a grain of salt and choose what really works for you. I also would like to recommend Pinterest prompts if you're kind of trying to figure that out. I love using Pinterest to find great journal prompts to help me work on more of like a guided practice of self-love, if that's something that you may be interested in. What's a special interest of yours? I'm honestly not sure how to answer that question. I feel like my social media platforms are kind of my special interest. But maybe that's just because it's not what I studied, although it's what I do more for work now. I was, as I mentioned earlier, in public budgeting and finance, which is a very different field. So this still kind of feels like a hobby a little bit, even though I spend all of my time doing it. So I will say that kind of creating content, understanding photography and how social media platforms work and that kind of thing are definitely a very big interest of mine. I love kind of the strategy behind content creation, and figuring out how different platforms work and push out content is definitely a passion of mine, and something that I could spend all evening researching without getting tired of it. Alright, that is it for all of your questions. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted questions over on Instagram. Be sure to follow me there for more daily content, kind of seeing what I do on a day-to-day basis. And other than that, if you liked this video, I hope I will see you back for next week's, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!